time.
It's time.
And now, it's time for Herman and Sharron.
I love you. Thank you for joining us once again. This is part 2. We have the same outfit on that we did part 1 because we've been waiting for you. We don't want to leave and then miss you. But Dr. Teitelbaum, this is his latest book. In fact, it is so brand new that you'll have to go to the website to get your copy and wait for it in bookstores. But Real Cause, Real Cure. And you'll see it all behind us here. And it's great. You know, this set is kind of just made for Dr. Teitelbaum with all of your... Isn't that neat how that's done? Look at that, it's moving. It fascinates me. But so you have an opportunity to find out today, if you didn't watch part 1. We've done 2 before this, and now we're going to be finishing this one up. This will be 4, and then we've got 2 to go.
That's right.
So this guy's from Hawaii, so we can't always, you know, that's a long flight. How many hours is that?
About 12.
About 12, yeah. We've been there 6 times. And, you know, everybody says, well, isn't Florida just like Hawaii? The answer is no. No. I've been both places, and Hawaii is totally different. Other than the fact that it's a constant temperature, but it is totally different. It's like
no bugs,
paradise.
Right?
Well, we have bugs, but they're really healthy and they're pretty friendly.
They're friendly bugs.
And we have the aloha spirit. So we still want you guys to make our 7th trip. We'd love to have you guys come and visit.
Great.
You know?
That'd be great.
It is just the most. If you are hesitating on going to Hawaii for a trip and you live in Florida or wherever you live, don't hesitate. I mean, that is one unbelievable place. It is just. And go to all the islands. What island do you live on?
On the Big Island. That's the one with the active volcano.
That's right.
And it's beautiful. Strongly recommend Big Island of Hawaii.
That's where Hilo and Kona is.
Exactly so. Very good.
Yes. And Hilo gets more rain than any of them, right?
They get over half an inch of rain a day.
Wow. I remember looking out our hotel window. Remember in Hilo?
Yeah.
And we looked down and they had this like a pool.
A moat around it.
And these
great big
huge orange fish were swimming. I mean, just gorgeous area.
Yep. And for visiting, come to Kona. Kona is,
I love Kona.
Is more the visitor side. And it's beautiful and it's friendly.
I'll tell you, the first time we flew into Kona, I looked out and I said to Herman, I think we're on the surface of the moon.
Yeah.
Because all it was lava, you know.
Did you know that they practiced, the guys that were going to the moon, on Kona?
Yeah.
And they shoot a lot of the moon shots. We have the highest mountain in the world is actually on the Big Island. And you have Mauna Kea and Mauna Loa, the 2 largest, but they start about 15,000 feet below sea level. So they're really high. You get the snow up there, you have the lava, but then you come to other areas and it's beautiful and it's green. Wow. But Kona is awesome. I had the same experience when I first landed here. It's like I thought, what's going on? But because they're going to land on the lava fields. That's
exactly right. But we got to tell the people who Dr. Teitelbaum is in case they haven't been listening.
I mean, he's a prolific writer, used by everybody in not only the medical field, nutrition field. I mean, you can read periodicals, you will see his name someplace. They're going to quote him because you have just really have a name that when we mention it, they go, really? You talk to him? And so it's
make me blush here.
Yeah. But you know, we can have other people and it's like, yeah, okay, what does he say? But as soon as your name's mentioned, it's like, okay, we know that name. So and you've been on Oprah?
I'm on with Dr. Oz a fair bit. He's a good friend of mine. CNN, Fox, Good Morning America, most of the women's magazines will see me quoted regularly. So there's a lot. What's happening is you have to distinguish what most doctors have to give is what the drug companies are selling.
Yes.
And I go straight to the medical science and not just what the drug company gives me. And what we find is that, oh my God, there's all these things, often natural, that are much more effective, very safe, much less costly, work better than the medications. So my job is to be a patient advocate.
Would the FDA love to put the vitamin business totally out of business?
I think given the ability, some people there would.
Because I've heard raids on vitamin shops.
There's some that prefer to have people have freedom in the FDA, and there's some that it's almost this kind of, I don't want to say it's like a mullah trying to kill anybody who's not the same religion. I mean, most of these long people I know are beautiful and brilliant, but there's this almost religious fervor that some in the FDA have, that anything non-prescription is bad or evil. It's crazy.
And yet the FDA has killed...
Well, the medications that are FDA approved kill over 200,000 Americans a year.
So it's something you can rely... Can you imagine going on an airplane and saying, well, since this airline has gone into business, 200,000 people have died in crashes. I don't think you'd walk on that airline.
And take it further and say that Congress said that the airline industry could regulate the bus industry and the train industry, and say that there are no train crashes at all. But what happens is the pharmaceutical industry basically gets to regulate the drug industry.
There we go again.
With people that have no clue and are hostile to it. So it's not the FDA's fault, but what Congress needs to do is to have a group of experts in the natural health industry, people experts in herbals and nutrients and things, be the ones that set the regulations for natural supplements.
Can you take too many of them, though? I mean, because there's so many out there, so many people talking about it, and you go in the health food store, I mean, can you take too much?
You can take too much water. I mean, you know, so you can take too much of anything.
Speaking of water, is that important?
How do you like that segue?
Yeah, is that important?
Water is critical. Most of our body is made of water. And if you don't have enough water, and I think most Americans are walking around dehydrated, if you don't have enough water, then what happens is you can't get the nutrients to the cells of your body, and you can't wash away the toxins properly. So you feel sluggish and you don't have the energy. Now, people ask me, how many glasses of water should I drink a day? And I say, what a horrible way to spend eternity counting glasses of water. That's nuts.
That's what I say.
Instead, what you want to do is do this right now. Check your mouth and check your lips. If they're dry, you're thirsty. Drink. And don't drink sodas with 3/4 of a spoon of sugar per ounce. Get some water, or I'll give you some recipes that are healthy. Number one, like I said, just keep some healthy water sitting right nearby you, and check your mouth and lips every so often. That's the best advice.
And so if they're dry?
If they're dry, drink. And one way to tell if you're thirsty, normally you just want little sips of water, but if you find you're drinking the whole 8 ounces goes down really quickly, that's your body's way of saying we're dry as a desert, water us. So, but you can make healthy drinks. You can take a 1/4 cup of lemonade, add it to 3½ cups of water, and then stevia. You don't want to use sugar, but stevia is a natural sweetener.
You just carry that right in your pocket, don't you?
This is what my wife and I use. My wife and I probably haven't had more than 2 pounds of sugar between us in the last decades.
Now, what is the average person a year?
150 pounds of sugar per
150
person per year added to their food and food processing that they don't even know about. Stevia tastes good. I manage, my sweet tooth gets well fed. I'll put the stevia in with the lemon juice. We actually have a lemon tree in the backyard, and we have lemonade.
Can they get that on the website?
You can get, I think this is on the website. In health food stores, the brand I'd recommend is Sweet Leaf, which also tastes good. Some stevias taste miserable, but some taste very good.
I was going to say, I wasn't going to say that, but yes.
If it's not filtered.
Really?
But this is Body Ecology. It's one I use, Sweet Leaf. It tastes great, and you can use all you want. It's good, healthy sweetener.
Yeah, it's good for you.
Chronic inflammation. Let's start with that, because I promised you coming out of part 1, this is part 2.
Well, what you're going to find is that the American diet is very inflammatory. The excess sugar, white flour, and grain-fed beef, or meats in general, will trigger inflammatory hormones in the body. What balances those are the fish oils and omega-3s, which are too low. We've got, what used to be we had much more omega-3s, now we have more of the inflammatory oils. So to settle down inflammation, there's a couple things. There's a simple test you can do to tell if your body is on inflammatory overdrive. You know how sometimes you get a paper cut? And most of the time that paper cut will hurt for about 30 seconds and then you forget about it. But if you go back and that paper cut's still red and inflamed 20 minutes or hours later, your inflammatory system's on overdrive. Wow. And that can be affecting things throughout the body. So to put that back into balance is easy. Cut back the sugar. I can give a plug for my book, Beat Sugar Addiction Now. If you just try to stop sugar, you're going to go through withdrawal, and that doesn't work very well. This book teaches you how to figure out what's causing your sugar addiction so you can make it go away. Then it's easy to come off of sugar. Go with whole grains, and go for the grass-fed meat when you have them. So you'll find in the store, especially health food stores, even the Safeways and Giants, you'll see these, they have the organics. Go for grass-fed which decrease inflammation. And then a key thing would be fish oil. And the best fish oil in the world, how's that for not being subtle, is this one right here called Vectomega. Because for most fish oils, you have to take 8 to 16 pulls a day to get what you need. This one a day, replaces 8 regular fish oils, so you're not burping up fish oil all day and you're saving a bunch of money. Because this has very high absorption because it's bioidentical.
Is it good that we in our diet have a lot of fish?
Absolutely.
Salmon?
Salmon, tuna, herring, sardines. If you're getting 3 or 4 servings of that a week, you don't need supplements.
Is the canned tuna just as good? I mean,
Yes, but
okay.
the funny thing is the white tuna, the albacore white, has 2-3 times the amount of omega-3 oils.
Wow, that's what I've been getting.
So it's worth, that's one of the times when it's probably worth bumping up if you can to that one.
Yeah.
So as long as you're getting 3 or 4 servings a week of the oily fishes, you don't need to supplement unless you have rheumatoid arthritis or other major inflammatory thing. But with the autoimmune diseases, with things like that, fish oil is really good. One or two a day of the Vectomega.
Can a leak, what they call leaky gut, can that cause inflammation?
Leaky gut can cause inflammation and it causes food allergies. What happens is that...
What does that mean, leaky gut? It sounds like you got a hole in your gut that's leaking something. Is that...
Well, there's a couple main barriers. It's kind of like the immigration and, you know, our body decides who comes in and who doesn't.
Okay.
So you've got the lungs, you've got the skin, and you've got the gut. Those are the main entry points into the body. And you need to have basically good enforcement about what gets in and what doesn't. And we don't, not in our bodies. What happens is that when you get infections that don't belong there, like candida infections or other infections, the bowel wall starts to get leaky. You get inflammation in the gut. And the foods start to get in before they're completely digested. So you have whole chunks of proteins that come in, and the body views those as outside invaders, or that may give the wrong message and mimic hormones and other things, and it drives the body nuts. And it can trigger allergies or other reactions. Now, this brings me to 2 things, which should be very important. For those out there who have colitis, like ulcerative colitis or Crohn's, or even with asthma, the boswellia, which is frankincense, we talked about that earlier, is as effective as the standard medications. So there's a product called BosCure, probably hiding here somewhere. No. But the BosCure would be very good for the colitis. The other thing that I want to mention is if you know anybody with autism, and this is very exciting, this is new research that was just published last week. This is the first TV show I'm talking about it on.
Wow, thank you.
Since its publication, so you guys get to have the breaking news. One of the studies that our foundation paid for was using a special technique called NAET, which is, you can think of it as an acupressure technique, or it just hits certain trigger points in the muscles, but basically it gets rid of allergies. And the way I learned about it is I used to have horrible ragweed allergies and hay fever, and I'd be miserable, honking, sneezing, blowing my nose all autumn. And there's a gal in town who did an AET, and she said, you know, I can get rid of that in 20 minutes. And being an all-knowing doctor, I said, that voodoo is not going to get rid of my hay fever. Leave me alone. One day I was especially miserable, and she said, stop being a nitwit and let me treat you. And I said, okay. 20 minutes later, my hay fever was gone. Never came back. It's like somebody turned a faucet off in my nose.
What'd she do?
She basically used some acupressure points, or you can call them trigger points, muscle trigger points, and she desensitized my body to the ragweed pollen. So I flew to California.
These pressure points?
Yeah, just using pressure points along the spine. It's very simple. It takes 20 minutes. And it just knocked it out. And I was so impressed. I flew to California, met the gal who developed the technique, learned about it, flew back home, married the gal who did it on me.
Are you kidding?
That impressed. And we have seen miracles coming with it. I saw her once. She treated this little girl with autism who was totally nonverbal, wasn't saying a word. And one day she runs in the offices, running around playing with all toys. Hey, where's Dr. Teitelbaum? And from nonverbal, after one treatment, she happened to be allergic to purines of all things. And that one treatment, it turned around. So we decided to fund a study using NAET for autism. 30 children in each group, 30 autistic children. The 30 children in the treatment group, 23 of those 30 children were back in regular schools at the end of 1 year, as opposed to 0 out of 30 in the untreated control group. Of course, as soon as the study was done, we gave free treatment to that second group also. Now they're doing well too.
Yeah.
But this is dramatic.
Yeah.
And for
You got to
those,
break this news on Oprah.
we
to tell you,
we hope to.
because there are so many
Yeah.
that you're hearing now. It seems like it's just tripled.
It's over 1% of the children now. It's skyrocketing, and it's crazy, but it's very treatable now. So if you know somebody with autism, or a parent of somebody with autism, the website to go to is www.naet and then autismtreatmentcenter.com. There are over 10,000 practitioners around the world that do NAET. It'll give the information. If you didn't make out everything I said, just go to my Vitality 101 or the nfatigue.com website that we have, and we'll have that up on the homepage very soon. But this is exciting stuff. So there's God, I was taught, I grew up in a seminary all the way through, and what I was taught was that God never gives a disease without giving a cure at the same time.
Isn't that wonderful? And I'm convinced that there are so many plants and fruits and so forth that God has given us that would cure the body, because the body was put together, I believe, to cure itself. Is that right or wrong?
It's made to be a really beautiful piece of equipment that is self-healing, and it will restore. It keeps moving to balance. It keeps moving to healing. That's its natural state until we put things in the way.
We have certain times of the year, cold and flu, and then they're advertising at every pharmaceutical drugstore, whatever. I don't want to name any names, might get sued, but they've got flu shots here. Okay, now do you have a formula that will help the flu season?
Yes. Number one, keep your own defenses up, because the vaccines are not bad. In fact, the biggest jump in health, if you look at the main things that the medical system has actually saved lives with, it's vaccinations for smallpox, polio, and toilets. We used to throw, you used to have chamber pots, you throw it in the street. Once we got plumbing, that decreased us. But beyond that, medicine has probably caused more harm than good. But now we're overdoing the vaccines. So there's a time for them, but there's a time for not.
The flu shot, is that actually have swine in it?
No.
Okay.
I think the swine flu thing was a whole scam. That's a different thing. But the regular flu, the influenza vaccine, for those at risk, I think it's reasonable. But there's so many infections coming in. So what you want to do is get your own body's defense systems working, and it's easy to do. Number one, get good nutrition. So you're getting your zinc, you're getting your vitamin C, you're getting the other nutrients that keep your army strong. The vitamin powder, really good way to do that.
We've done a number of shows now, and every time you really go back to this.
I think everybody should be on that. That's a very cheap, simple way to get the equivalent of 35 pills and multivitamins in one simple drink. Gives you outstanding overall nutritional support and really supports your body in so many ways.
One like this would last how long?
That will last 1 to 2 months, depending if whether you do half a scoop or 1 scoop a day.
Wow.
And it's just a simple thing.
So that will, now because of the lupus that you've been diagnosed with, you can't bring up your immune system.
This doesn't bring it up, it balances it.
See, there you go.
It strengthens it.
That's
This
right.
is very good for people with autoimmune disease as well. It's good for virtually everybody unless you have kidney failure.
Okay.
Because kidney failure, you can't take magnesium.
Okay, what causes a fatty liver?
Oh, basically metabolic syndrome. You have too much fat elsewhere in your body, you'll have it there. If you have insulin resistance, which is prediabetes, you put the fat in the liver. So what you want to do for that, first of all, I know many doctors will disagree with me, but I think the main thing I do with that is ignore it. It's been turned into this, anything they can make you scared to death about, they do. But I don't consider fatty liver a primary issue. There's some go, but there's some who get cirrhosis. Yeah, but there's some who die in car crashes on the way to doctors, and more who die from what they're given in the doctor's offices.
Wow.
So one, I'm not really that concerned with it. It's a symptom of basically metabolic syndrome or insulin resistance. Here's what you do. You cut out sugar. If you're a woman, you make sure that if you have a high cholesterol, that your thyroid is not low, and the blood test will miss it. So if you're tired, achy, weight gain, cold intolerant, get some natural bioidentical thyroid hormone. In men, metabolic syndrome can come from low thyroid, but it most often comes from low testosterone as men go through menopause in their 40s and 50s. And the studies show that the low testosterone causes high cholesterol, high blood pressure, diabetes, pre-diabetic, and it contributes to the fatty liver. So what I'm going to do is tell people avoid Tylenol, don't overdo alcohol, and make sure your thyroid in women and testosterone and thyroid in men are optimized, and avoid the sugar. And that's going to be my
Because your
approach.
liver is very important.
Of course, it's your
your health.
detoxification factory.
Yeah.
Now, what would injure the liver? Would pharmaceutical stuff, would that injure?
Tylenol,
Tylenol.
excess Tylenol can do it, excess alcohol can do it, autoimmune diseases can sometimes do it. Now, a very good thing for the liver in those settings would be lipoic acid and milk thistle. Those really help settle the inflammation of the liver.
The steroids do it too. If you were on
I'm sorry?
steroids, would they hurt your liver?
And people with severe hepatitis will sometimes need to give the steroids, but generally not. And the steroids and the dose they're giving for that. Now, you may need the steroids for lupus, but again, when you give the DHEA, and the study showed 200 milligrams of DHEA for lupus improves outcomes dramatically, and I suspect that the DHEA balances the cortisone and decreases the toxicity of the cortisone and decreases the amount of cortisone needed to treat these autoimmune diseases.
Yeah. Now, I was put on Plaquenil, just one pill a day,
And that's reasonable.
which is like quinine, isn't it?
Yeah, close enough. It's
It's an
reasonable.
old medication, I
It's
heard.
an old one, but it's a
but it
reasonable
really
one.
helped me.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Good.
Chronic inflammation, you have that in your book, and this is it right here.
And cut out the sugar.
It didn't need, he's just,
He just picks these up.
bingo.
Decrease the sugar, decrease the grain-fed meats and white flour. Now, we mentioned one thing. We were talking about the Alzheimer's before, and I forgot to mention one thing. For prevention of Alzheimer's, if you have a family member with Alzheimer's, you're trying to prevent it, curcumin. In India, the rate of Alzheimer's, where they have high curcumin in the diet, is 1/3 the level.
Yeah, I heard that.
And but most curcumin is poorly absorbed, so unless you're eating an Indian diet and turning your brain yellow from the curries, this is a simple way. You take 1 or 2 a day. Gives you very high potency, high absorbed curcumin. And for people who have a family history of Alzheimer's, I'm not giving the NSAIDs like Motrin as prevention. I'm giving Curamed. Curamed is by Europharma, another wonderful, wonderful supplement.
We have done programs on Alzheimer's, and we get more mail,
Yeah.
email, you name it.
People are
Because
scared to death of it, actually. You know?
It's so preventable and so treatable, but not the way it's being treated these days.
Yeah.
and you're saying that many that think Alzheimer's is part of the problem is not the problem.
Autopsies have shown that the majority of people diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease don't have it. But again, if you have a family member with Alzheimer's, go to the website at endfatigue.com, look at the box on the top that says health conditions, click on that, on the drop-down box, click on Alzheimer's. It will give you a checklist of here's what to do to get the brain working again.
Good for you. Prostate problems. Okay, guys 73 years old really have a problem. But there's operations constantly. Really. Okay,
Unless they're really, really needed.
what do you need to do?
Saw palmetto, 160 milligrams twice a day. Zinc, 25 milligrams a day. You can consider some pumpkin seeds or other uva ursi or other, but really
Real pumpkin seeds? I mean, like pumpkins?
Yeah, eat pumpkin seeds.
That they can grow pumpkins?
Yeah, exactly.
Really?
They grow pumpkins and they shrink your pumpkin. So you do those things, and those will often decrease the symptoms considerably. The testosterone, actually, it's the low testosterone that's more associated with a conversion with high DHT. I'm blah, blah, blah over here. But if you go to a holistic doctor who can monitor the testosterone and the DHT levels, that also can be very helpful.
And do you know, I mean, what is the length of time you're going to notice a difference?
Within 6 weeks for most herbals, you'll know.
Wow.
You know, you'll either be dead
For
or you'll be
herbals
doing
in
okay.
general, For herbals in general.
Either way, that's going to happen.
6 weeks is fair trial for most. There are a couple times it'll be 3 months. A lot of these things, like the Herman for pain, you're going to know within a week, but I still say give it 6 weeks.
Okay.
In his own book, it says add zinc and selenium. Boy.
The selenium's in the multi. The multi is going to cover, that's going to cover so many things for people.
He goes right back to this. This is really.
It was built that way.
But I like this because you can just dip in and mix it with.
Yeah, just there's a scoop in there. You put 1/2 to 1 scoop. You add water, stir it. I add 1 scoop of the Corvalin, the ribose, and it's the best 10 seconds for your health that you're going to spend each day. Because that's really.
And that's your regimen.
That's what I do each morning.
Follow the doctor.
Have
And
you
this
had
is
a
put together
colonoscopy?
based on thousands and thousands and thousands of studies to design what's in there.
What did you just ask him?
I said, have you had a colonoscopy?
Yes.
You
Because
have.
I think that for prevention, mammograms, unless people have a family history that's strong or have a lump, certainly, then they need sonogram and mammogram. But for screening, the studies are showing that it probably causes more harm than good. PSA, another study just came out, the prostate cancer screening, that people are more likely to die of prostate cancer if they go for the PSA, and that is not recommended. They recommend that be stopped.
Wow.
Colon cancer screening, though, and that's the one that you almost kind of wish they said that doesn't work too. No, that one does work. Colonoscopy every 10 years, good idea.
Wow.
Oh, really? Okay. I was wishing you wouldn't have said that. Magnesium is good for colon, to keep you from getting colon cancer, isn't it?
Well, magnesium and fiber, I think, in general, keep you regular. So
Yeah.
they haven't really looked
Keep
at
you
the
regular.
studies on that, but I would suspect that it does.
I did hear a colonoscopy where somebody tore the going in.
You'll see it, but again, that's unusual. That's one where it's so unusual,
Yeah. So it's rare.
very rare.
I'm
Is that
drinking my water.
Is that a dumb doctor?
No, it just happens.
Is that a dumb doctor? I can't believe you said that.
Well, you can't tell me that there isn't dumb doctors. I mean, it's like, goodness.
We have our share.
It is so neat to just sit with you and glean.
I can't believe the
From
time
God.
just goes like that.
Yeah, I know it. This is important. His books, go to that website,
Yeah.
get everything he's got, and listen to the information. And I don't say that often, but when I tag into somebody that you know that they know what they're talking about, you want to hear and you want to listen, and then you want to follow what you're hearing and do it. That's the important thing. And then do it for a length of time. These are the greatest words you'll ever hear. Open the Word of God. Spend at least 10 minutes. Okay, I spend a lot more time than that, but let me just start you with 10 minutes. And if you don't have 10 minutes, then spend 5 minutes. Because this will change the direction of your life. Jesus Christ is the answer to every need you may have. God bless you. Bye-bye.
You are invited to tune in each week to The Good Life, hosted by CTN founder and president Bob and Jane DeAndre. This program features inspirational and informative interviews, anointed music, and special reports. Don't miss The Good Life, Friday nights at 9 p.m. and Monday mornings at 3 a.m. Eastern Time, here on the Christian Television Network.
Everyone has questions. Why am I here? Where will I go when I die? Is there really truth? But not everyone has biblical answers. Welcome to The Pastor Study, a ministry of pastorstudy.org.
And when we read of some Christian denominations now saying abortion's okay, homosexuality's okay, you don't need Jesus to be saved, let's get back to the Bible right here on Monday nights.
Watch Life Today, weekdays as James and Betty Robison provide real answers to real problems through compelling guests and miraculous testimonies. Witness God's love through inspiration, hope, and life. Join us in making a real difference in our world by changing countless lives and building stronger families. Don't miss Life Today with James and Betty Robison, weekdays on this station.
How can a known poison that exists in our food supply or medications